So I did this last year, and I figured why not do it again, where I basically show all the kits I painted and talk about them briefly each. And technically, we could say it's the kits of 2020. Or we could also call it my second year of painting Gunpla. It doesn't matter, few people will watch. Anyway, this is the Barbatos. Crap, I keep saying Barbados when it's Barbatos, but you know, I'd rather be in Barbados, frankly. Great kit, honestly. This thing has the DNA to be a perfect grade. I genuinely believe that. There's so many traces of things here. One, obviously, they're going to do the Lupus Rex. Two, this will most likely be a perfect grade later on. It's just a matter of time because the detail in this kit was fantastic. It's a beautiful kit, even though I'm not really a fan of Iron Blood Orphans. I've watched it maybe twice. I can't remember. It never really resonated with me. You know, call me crazy. Sorry, I like political intrigue and more story instead of a lead character that's kind of like just a wild dog. If I wanted that, I'd go back to the hood playboy. But that's besides the point. I did black backing on this kit. I'm not really hyper into black backing. There's different ways to do it, but, you know, I think it works for the Barbatos because, you know, it's a grimier mobile suit. And as always, I tend to stick with the original colors because for myself, I like to have a kit that resembles what's in the anime or manga. I did try to weather this, but a very, very, very light weathering, kind of like how they found it. You know, they find the damn thing in the beginning of the show, and it's in damn near immaculate condition, just a little dirty. So I wanted to recreate that. Nothing too over the top, you know? But that's kind of just my paint style. A lot of people don't appreciate it, but whatever. Teach their own. The next up is the Jester camouflage. I did this as a tutorial video that I think is only sitting at like 38,000 views now. And it's probably one of the reasons why I stopped doing tutorial videos, because time consuming and I've got other channels to work on and sponsorships to appease. So free time is so minute for me. And every 5 seconds I'm on somebody's podcast or show or something. So really, this is one of my favorite paint jobs, bar none. I love this one. It came out beautifully and a lot of people learned from it, supposedly what they told me. I then gave it to the second editor on this channel, the backup editor that does the major editing videos where sadly we still don't get those major views. But what are you going to do? That's YouTube. It spits in your face and then takes your balls and twists them up your ass. Great kit, by the way. I love the Master Grade Jester. One of the best grunt suits ever. How this doesn't have a perfect grade is beyond me. I really feel like Bandai needs to take more risks and do more perfect grades that people would like. The Resin Kit recast UC version of the Infinite Dimensions Sasabi, which is now called the Legion Land Sasabi, but then it was the Anchor T Sasabi. It's changed hands a lot. I know that Legion Land is doing a run of these right now. They're doing new molds and everything, so they should be very crisp and delicious. I gotta try and get myself one. This is version 1.0, which is harder to get for some odd reason. It's a bit more detailed and a bit more of a pain in the ass to do, but that's beside the point. This is a recast of the official kit, and I did this simply because I figured if I can make this recast look good, then I should have no problem with official kits. And most of my theories were correct. This kit was more work than it should have been, but it was a learning experience, and the best way to learn is by doing something, I'd say, and at least having some semblance of an idea of what you're doing. Don't go doing something you have no clue what you're doing and then come back here and bother me like, I tried to surf and then I fell and broke my nose, you idiot. Overall, beautiful kit. One of my favorite resin kits, one of my favorite resin designers. I love the Anchor T, Legion Land, Infinite Dimension design aesthetics, whatever you want to call them. Love this stuff. And I decided to put it up next to the original Sasabi I did, my first one, where I learned that like 9 different shades of color does not show up. It's diminishing returns at that point. My only regret for this video that I did on it is that I didn't do well enough on the dynamic camera stuff, and I just sort of went through the motions, honest to God. I was probably tired knowing me. The Deathscythe Hell Custom EW. Back in the long ago, when a band called Papa Roach was the edgiest thing on the radio, Deathscythe ruled television screens around America because Gundam Wing was huge then. And this kit and this entire series holds a lot of nostalgia for American Gundam fans. And I can honestly say, even though I've grown out of Wing, I still have an appreciation for the mecha designs. And, you know, it's just one of those things. You know how it is. Overall, I feel like my paint job here was okay. I really missed the mark on the blacks, honestly. It didn't turn out the way I wanted it to, so I was disappointed in that. The Wing Master Grade kits all share the same inner frame, and that inner frame is not exactly great. And they all suffer from parts popping off or becoming loose. Like, I feel the Master Grade Wing kits are average at best. They're not great, and they're not bad either. They're just sort of there. You could be mad at me for saying it, but that's just how I feel. I feel like this kit, though cool, has a lot of flaws in it. But it's basically for people that love Wing, and they're not going to really care one way or another. I think most people just snap together their kits and don't think twice about it. Whereas I tend to have a more critical view of them. You know, Deathscythe Hell, the ultimate edgelord. Ah, God, I forgot. This one has dry transfers. I love and hate dry transfers, but I'll take them over stickers any day of the week. The Virgo Fazz is a great kit. It's essentially the Zeta Virgo, double Zeta Virgo Enhanced Edition. Just a different paint scheme, and they added some armor to it and recycled the big bazooka from the last Master Grade Fazz. And that's pretty much all I have to say about that. It's overall a good kit, but it's a brick. And I don't think that so I'm like reviewing the kit all over again. I should talk about my paint job. Here is a paint job that I'm actually proud of, but I made a very fatal mistake, and that was the transitions of colors being so subtle that it damn near doesn't seem like I painted it to someone who doesn't know what they're looking for. So that was a huge mistake on my part. I hate very flat colors for Gunpla. I feel like there has to be some sort of tonal shift or transition of color to make these model kits, one, not look like toys, and two, bear some sort of semblance of light, you know, reflecting off of something. But it's hard to achieve that with Gunpla, I think. And it's very hard to explain what I'm trying to achieve. It may be like a goal that's just too far, or maybe I'm not good enough yet to make what I'm trying to convey to people just painfully abundant for them to see without explanation. But overall, this is one of my favorite paint jobs. I do love the Fazz. I love the design. I love the color choices. I just hate that it's a brick. You know, beautiful kit that you can't really move. That's the fatal flaw of this sucker. Once you put on that heavy armor, it's just like, that's it. Put it on a stand, because if you don't, it's going to fall. And it's very, very heavy on the right side of the kit. The best you can do is switch the guns to another arm to try and counterbalance, but really, you just kind of SOL. And I was too lazy to like put some sort of counterweights inside of the kit. You know, time constraints and all. I love to look at this kit, I really do. It is a great looking kit. You know, at this point, some Gundam model kits are more like movable statues than they are anything else to me. You know, you could look at them, put them in a pose, and admire them when they're well painted. But unfortunately, sometimes they just get so heavy that it sucks. Like, they'll fall over and parts pop off, or sometimes they only have to fall over to have parts pop off. You just move it a bit and something shakes off. The Master Grade Hyakushiki. I only painted like 25% of this kit. I guess at the time I was trying to familiarize myself with it. In the sense of when I start the resin build for it, it would help if I understand the inner frame of the kit. So that way I know what I'm doing, what colors I want them to be. Because I'm the type of guy who doesn't build the kit, then take it apart to paint it, to rebuild it. Because I'm always working on a multitude of projects. So I'm always strapped for time. And building a kit, to take it apart, to paint it, to rebuild it, is just adding extra time to an already long process for me. So that's why I never do that. And that's probably why my paint jobs, I just start doing something. I'm like, this will look cool or that will look cool. And then when I put it together, I sit there and think, oh man, this would have looked so much better if I did this. You know, and I just kick myself repeatedly. But then I go, well, time to go edit. No time to sit and be mad at myself. Get back to work, slave. I work myself like I'm in a sweatshop, dude. It's ridiculous. The perfect Strike Gundam is the best version of the Strike Gundam. Which, you know, that's all I can say. Anyone who's built a perfect grade or built the Strike perfect grade, among others, knows the Strike at that point in time was probably the best perfect grade you could get your hands on. As far as the inner frames, design, the stability, everything was there until the perfect grade Unleashed Gundam, which I now feel is number one. But nonetheless, the Strike is something I wanted, and the second they said the perfect Strike was coming, I said yes. I immediately bought it from New Type HQ, or did they give it to me? I can't remember. With this kit, I added a lot of LEDs, which isn't really my MO. I like LEDs, but I usually tend to put LEDs in, you know, like my vehicles, especially my motorcycle. It's pretty lit. Well, there's a pun there. But LEDs and Gunplas, for me, it's more time consuming. Because kind of like my paint jobs usually take me so long. And then if I throw LEDs in the mix, it's only a longer process. And it's just kind of like, gotta draw the line somewhere to save time, you know? But I'm proud of this one. And I actually like the LEDs I threw in it. Even though I didn't add all the LEDs I wanted, still, it was such a good kit. The Li Jialan Zaku II conversion kit. Love this thing. When I saw this got announced, I was like, I have to have it. And luckily, they sell them in two versions. A single kit or a double kit set. And their castings are so good, you barely have to do any cleanup work at all to get this thing on your kit. It's almost like it was made for it, which is stupid, but you know what I mean. Like, it almost feels like a perfect fit. Little modification here and there, but overall, lovely kit. A pleasure to work with, and it really improves the Zaku II by leaps and bounds. The Zaku II's inner frame is another great inner frame. Why Bandai hasn't upgraded the perfect grade, beyond me, but maybe since we have the perfect grade Gundam, they might do the perfect Unleashed. Is that it? Yeah, perfect grade Unleashed Zaku II. I'd be down for that. You know, I really would, because that would be tits. And this thing is legit. I painted it in the usual Zaku colors because I don't have a green Zaku. And the green Zaku is iconic to me. So I was like, this is my excuse to do another Zaku and do a green one and get away with it without anyone complaining copiously. I also gave it a little bit of weathering. I wanted to have a realistic feel with the weathering. Like, not too over the top, but, you know, you could tell it's been around. So I modeled it after, like, my car. My car isn't actually in this bad a shape, but, you know, like, it's filthy, dirty, some grime here and there, rust, you know, in specific areas of the arms and the joints. I also gave it a pinup because I was thinking, like, what would I do if I was a Zaku pilot? I'd probably put a pinup on my mobile suit because I wouldn't picture myself starting off as being some ace. Like, most people are like, I'd be an ace pilot. I'm like, I'd be good enough to survive and get a pinup on my Zaku. They go, oh, there goes that asshole with a pinup. He thinks he's hot shit just because he survived the 1-year war. The GPO3 Kit Bash, my first one actually. My biggest regret for this is that my video didn't show enough of the GPO3 off. I felt it was too small to put in the hangar bay. I don't know what I was thinking. Oh, and I want to try out like a spinning table with like the plexiglass floor because nobody else was doing that at the time, except for like major commercials, the plexiglass floor look. And I really didn't do good enough. And I was also experimenting with light. I really should shoot that again, I think, since I've gotten better as a camera person since then, but whatever. The resin kit, Mobile Workers from Iron Blood Orphans. I don't remember who made these. I saw them once on eBay and just bought them. And I haven't seen them since, oddly enough. But yeah, I saw these. I thought, gotta have it. Hyper detailed, pretty sweet. You get 3 plus orc. That's why I bought it. I wanted an orc figure to go with Mika. And this time I got to test out what I was learning from the miniature community. And I still have a long way to go there because miniature painters I follow, like, they're so good. It looks like they airbrushed everything, but they didn't. It's just mind-blowing how good these people are. And none of them are American or anything. You know, they're like all European. So I tested out painting muscles on Orga. It was my first attempt. I've learned a lot since this, so I'll probably have to try something like that again later on. Overall, great resin kit. The only problem I had was one of my guns came warped and there was a few pieces missing from the kit. But, you know, no big deal. I tried to fix the warp and then it warped again after I painted it and I said, screw it. And that was that for me. The Takomi Studios Sinanju. Say that 3 times fast. I remember when this kit got announced because I like Sinanju and I probably should paint like a normal Sinanju up because I still like the original design, but this thing like just amped it up to the max. To the max. It was just in your face. All edge. It cut yourself just looking at this wrong. And that's what I liked about it. The design is a bit much for most people, but you know, I'm a fairly over-the-top character, so I could appreciate it. The only thing I didn't feel was the head. I think the head was a little much, ironically, but it was also modified so much, I think they made it undersized for the body, which I don't know if that was intentional or a mistake. On top of that, a lot of the parts have crazy fitment issues. This is turning into a review, isn't it? So yeah, just go check my review video. On this paint job, I decided to leave the air tanks, gas tanks, fuel tanks matte finished because I thought it would look better in contrast to the high gloss body. And this is the first time I did high gloss. And it came out well, especially for a first attempt with like airbrush stuff. I'm used to like, you know, wet sanding and compounds and polishes on, you know, vehicles. But doing it on a model kit, I'm still heavy-handed, so I suffer from stripping the paint when I do try and buff and rub. So I'm going to stick to urethanes. And after this, I figured out how I can paint a kit and make it hyper glossy. Like the next time I do a gloss kit, it's going to be really, just wait till you see that thing, man. I'm going to just make it obscenely glossy. The Strike Rouge. This was something D-Girl wanted, and she talked about it. She was always trying to get me to paint her a kit for the like past year or two. Could be 2 years or more. She was hitting me up for one. And since she was, you know, doing a lot of surgery, she had one major surgery where she was laid out for a while. Couldn't even speak. So I thought by the time she's better, I'd have this finished. I was wrong. This kit I'm proud of for a number of reasons. I built it and then gave it to her without a second thought. Didn't matter to me. I love the look of it because basically it's a Strike. Strike is one of my favorite Gundams, even though I don't care for the anime. I guess I just love the Strike. Perfect grade, I should say. On this kit, I did something I haven't done in a while, which was color correct panel lining. Since this was for someone else, I decided to go through the hassle of mixing a panel line wash that would blend with the tones I was using rather than copping out and using black or brown or gray, because it would only take away from the overall look. And technically, I should do this more often because it's more realistic. But I'm lazy and I'm trying to save as much time as possible to get on to my next project. Even in doing this, I need to get on to my next project, sadly. But overall, probably one of the underrated perfect grades. I think it's because it's basically a pink Strike, and I don't think many people care for that. So you don't see these too often these days. They pop up once in a while. I don't even know what this jet is called. Essentially, it's like an F-14 nose put on top of like some space body, honest to God. But I love the look of it. When I finished it, I was like, this is sweet. I see why people paint jets and stuff. Because when you get that thing complete and it's looking right, you're like, this is nice. This one I only did LEDs in the head because, time constraints is like I'm not going to go through the hassle putting LEDs in this, like the head, the jet pack, the jet itself. No time for that. You're just going to go for the maximum effect because this thing's going to spend its life inside of a glass case anyway. So make sure it looks good. The Master Grade Extreme Unicorn. The best unicorn I've worked on. By far, it's the best I've worked on. But then again, I think I've only worked on 2. This thing exceeds, or I should say excels, where the perfect grade fails. For me, at least. But, the downside for this kit is it's so expensive. Like, the LED gimmick, it's good. It's superior to the perfect grade, obviously, by leaps and bounds. But it's just so expensive. That's the only downside. I would say with this kit, I wanted to add some more panel lines. I want to scribe this kit. But time constraints just was not allowing it. Between adding, the Virgo heavy weapon system, so that's another $80 kit, to kit bash with this, I really just didn't have the time, sadly. And it also made this kit hyper expensive. Like, this is the most expensive kit bash I've done so far. I think I set myself back well over $300 to make this one video. And the channel itself doesn't make that in a month. So really, I'm shooting myself in the foot with a shotgun, honest to God. But, besides that, I think this is a great kit. I think it's beautiful to look at. The mechanics are great. The posability is light years above the perfect grade. Light years. It's just, it has to be on that stand. And unfortunately, I broke my stand. The stand breaks very easily, so be careful. There's not much I could say. It's a great kit. I liked my paint job. I think I should have gave it one more shade of white to really drive home the color tones. But I was trying to save time, By the time I got to the 3rd shade of white, and I knew if I just got like that bone white, that snow white, just dabble in there a little bit in certain key areas where light hits, it would really set this sucker off. Unfortunately, I didn't do that. And I regret it, but I have to be realistic with myself. Like, I don't have all the time in the world. If this is my main channel, it'd be a different story. But it's not, unfortunately. So I gotta be responsible on some level. I know. Responsible painting model kits. Wow. Big man. What are you going to do? Work with Elon Musk for SpaceX next? Great kit, though. This kit bash. I really like this kit bash. Good way to end the year. Well, rate, comment, subscribe. It helps the channel. Share my stuff. Tick all the bell notifications. It really helps the channel, and Lord knows the channel needs it. I can't keep sitting here and going, okay, I'm going to do a kit bash video and spend $300 and the channel makes 2 in a month. That's just bad business. But then that's nobody's fault but mine, really. It's almost like Gorilla Glue Girl blaming somebody else. All right, I'm the hell out of here.